Hello and welcome to the VKViewer 6 demonstration video on a couple of the analytical commands inside of the software. You'll notice here we're on most recent for training and for all plants in the training owner. We're also on relief valves. I want to just briefly talk about the difference between most recent and all repairs. Remember that VKViewer is keeping track of all of your valve assets from cradle to grave. So the way that the valve is currently in your facility is what we would call the most recent repair to that valve. Every valve inside of VKViewer has a most recent event to it. If a valve has been repaired more than once, it will have one most recent, and all of the other repairs will be historical repairs, and those are visible when you're inside of the All Repairs option. This is a very important difference, and it can have a dramatic effect on the analysis that you're doing inside of VKViewer. We'll take a look at how that affects the analysis later on. But right now, let's just take a quick look at our grid, and we'll notice we have tag number, manufacturer, inlet size, date tested, and service. Let's go ahead and let's add a column. So I'll click my columns and grid command. In the available list, I'll click on it, press the letter D to move to the Ds, and I'm going to choose date tested year, add it, and apply. I now have that column inside the grid that I want. If I come over to my analysis button and I click it, you see I can do a general analysis, coming due, past due, repairs performed, those are the calendars. I can take a look at a pressure analysis for my relief valves only. I have a couple of mean time between failure analytical commands. I can look at on-time delivery, I can configure some columns, or I can take a look at the analyze of a field in the grid. So if I wanted to take a look at, for example, my manufacturer breakdown, I would come into Analyze Field and Grid and select Manufacturer, knowing that it's already inside of my grid. Again, it's critical to remember that I'm in most recents. Come back down to Analyze Field and Grid, select Manufacturer, and VKViewer automatically opens me to the Chart View result. You'll notice here we're on the Chart View tab. I'm taking a look at the chart of manufacturer. I'm looking at the pie chart. I can limit it to the top N count that I want. So if I want to see the top 5 count of manufacturers, there it is. I'll put that back to 20. I can exclude blank values, and I can also affect the legend and the way that it's being displayed here with these various checkboxes. Clicking on the bar option allows me to take a look at my manufacturers in a bar chart as opposed to a pie chart, and excluding blanks gives me a tighter look at the information. So that is the analytical analysis of one single field manufacturer that was inside of my grid. Coming back to my repair list, I can come back to my analysis button, click on general, and let's go ahead now and let's set up an analysis. You'll notice I have the option to do all in grid, or I can take a look at selected entries. So if I wanted, I could have multi-selected in the grid and done analysis. And now I get to choose the fields I want to do my analysis on. I'm going to choose manufacturer, inlet size, date tested year, and service. I'll go ahead and click Analyze, and VKViewer now has closed up my setup area. So if I roll back down my setup area, that's where I set up my analysis. I'll close that back up. And now down here in the result, you'll see that I'm on my Data View tab, and I also can switch over to my Chart View, which we took a look at a moment ago. Back on my Data View, if I come in and I take a look at my date tested by year result in grid, you'll see that I have my years and all of the number of repairs that occurred in them. Remember, I was on my most recents. So here in 2010, there's 296 valves that were repaired in 2010 that have not been repaired since then. If I wanted to take a look at that 296, I can click on the Details button, and that will give me the grid list of all of the valves that made up that option inside of my analysis. So there's 296 valves listed there. Back in my analysis command, that's the 296 that were in 2010. Clicking on the result in charts allows me to take a look at it by chart, and if I click on a bar charts, you can see that in 2010 and 09 and whatnot, we have our various breakdown of our analysis. If I come over here to my chart of, and I drop that down, and I take a look at one of the other fields I've chosen, such as service, and I'll now exclude my blank services, you'll see 214 valves were incompressible, 65 in non-compressible, and whatnot. So that is the general analysis command, and I did that general analysis on the most recent valves inside of VKViewer. Let's think about this for a moment and take a look at how dramatically we could have affected our analysis. If the question we have is, show us the manufacturer breakdown of all of the valves inside of our plant, when I'm in the most recent, that would be the result I would want. And this is because every valve has one most recent event for it. So to see the manufacturer breakdown, I only want to see the manufacturer of the valve show up once, regardless of the number of repairs that have happened. For example, here, PSV Demo 1, it's a consolidated valve, and in most recents, PSV Demo 1 shows up only once. If I click on All Repairs, showing me all the historical repairs, you'll see that actually I end up having multiple repairs to the same valve, and those multiple repairs to the same valve would show up in the analysis as distinct valves themselves. So now when I do an analysis of manufacturer, consolidated is going to show up once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times because it has showed up 5 times in my grid. So this will definitely skew my result. If I come in now, remember I'm in All Repairs, and I come into Analysis, and I do my Analyze Field and Grid, and I choose Manufacturer, you'll take a look now at my bar chart, and consolidated has a much different number than it would have otherwise. If I exclude my blanks, consolidated has 245 times it has appeared. Coming back to my repair list, remember 245 times. That's in All Repairs. Coming back to most recents, and now there's only one event for every valve. Come back into my analysis, and now Analyze Field and Grid, back to Manufacturer. And I come back over to my bar charts. I'll exclude blanks again, and you notice consolidated is 125. So the 245 number in historicals has changed to 125 in most recents only. Obviously that's a big difference, and again the difference is every valve has one most recent event. If a valve has been replaced or repaired more than once, then we end up having multiple occurrences for something that we don't want to have. So it's really important to know what you're doing your analysis on, and that's a great example of the difference between most recent and all repairs in the Analyze. Taking a look at this another way, we can come back out to our, remember we added date tested by year, and if I come in and I do Analyze Field and Grid date tested by year, and we go and we take a look at our bar chart, you'll notice that the earliest year we have is 2008. So our most recent data that we have, in other words, the way that the valves are right now in our facility, 2008 is the oldest repair. If I go out to All Repairs, I'm now looking at the historical life of all valves, and if I come back into my analysis, and I come back over to Field and Grid, and I redo the date tested year, now this is taking into account all of the past events to valves that have been repaired more than once. Remember before in most recents, the oldest most recent valve was 2008. Now we go back all the way to 1999. So that's another good example of the differences that you'll see when you're taking a look at your results either in All Repairs or most recent. So always keep in mind what it is that you're looking at. Another place where that really impacts is if you're trying to find all of the repairs done, for example, in 2006. Given that there is no valve left in service that was repaired in 2006 in our facility of training, all of the valves have been repaired since 2006. If we're looking for repairs in 2006, we would have to be in historicals to see them. There's plenty repaired in 06, but there was none repaired in 06 that haven't been repaired since. So typically, when you want to take a look at repairs performed in a given year, you need to make sure that you are in All Repairs. If you want to take a look at a percentage breakdown, whether it's by manufacturer or inlet size or service, typically you would look at it in the most recents because you want only one occurrence of each valve in the analysis. That is a great review of the analysis function on the VKViewer 6 software, and we will take a look at other analytical functions in other videos. Thanks and goodbye.